YouTube fam, Fat Man Zoom is here, and I'm going to break down Tesla's earnings for you, but I'm going to break it down a little bit differently. I'm going to break down what you're not being told. I think it's really important to get beyond just the earnings per share metrics, the revenue metrics regarding earnings, because it delivered what we expected. But what we need to know is, what does the future hold, and what does it tell us that excites us? And let me tell you that there's a lot of things to get excited about, and I'm not sure why people aren't telling you, but I got you on this one. So if you're new here, like and subscribe. I'm going to try to break down these earnings and allow us to be able to look back on this and use this leverage for the future. So 5 things I want to point out that I think are really important as far as what they talked about in earnings. So first thing, China production. Elon Musk touted the China factory and how they're over delivering deadlines and their efficiencies and just their ability to just get things done. I think that bodes well because the market opportunity in China is so huge, and it's a small thing. Maybe not material for the stock, but it's something good to know when we think about hitting deliveries and hitting goals in the future, which we'll get to as my number one item to think about. So China production is going to be a huge thing, and by all accounts, they're doing great there. So the second thing, full self-driving is a priority. It is clear that the autonomous vehicles and that their ability to do autopilot is just paramount, especially to Elon. For the most part, they have the functionality, but their challenges come with what they call passive driving and passive optical. And really, it's just things that don't necessarily come to mind when you're thinking about driving. Anybody can take a highway and say, stay in these lanes. But what happens when there's a car that's parked on the side of a street that isn't supposed to be there, or a cone that's in the street that isn't necessarily supposed to be there? So there's all these things that happen that come up when you think about autopilot. But they are determined to get this done, and it's just clear that it's number one priority for them. And if they can do that, it's going to be a huge boon to their robo-tax, which brings me to my next point. The ability to monetize your car. And Elon talks about this robo-taxi system, but also to leverage your car with friends and family. But he basically is like, you could have a fleet of Teslas that you can monetize if you really wanted to. So that was really interesting to hear him say, because we've heard about robo-taxis, but him talking about the ability to monetize and people to leverage it as a business sounds really cool and really exciting. Quite frankly, I think I might do that. But one thing that is tied to that is in the insurance. So that brings me to my next point. The insurance opportunity might be the least sexy thing he brought up, but one of the biggest things, because he stated that insurance could be 40% of the value of the car business at greater margins. This is incredible. Right now, a barrier to entry for Tesla is how high insurance costs if you go from a private insurer. What Tesla wants to do is offer that service in-house. They're getting the revenue, great. It's high margin, low cost to them, high margin. Insurance is a great business. And also, they're going to take their cars data to determine your risk, which is kind of cool as a side note. All that stuff is great to consider, but the revenue stream that it's going to offer is awesome for the company. That's probably what I'm most excited about as far as the future growth prospects of the company. So look out for that. Look to hear more about that. Solar, we forget about solar, I think, but they're establishing themselves as a clear market leader in the solar industry. So I won't touch on it too much because there's other things I want to get to, but like solar is a sleeper for them. And I don't want to list it as icing on the cake because I think they could really be competitive in that. So they provided good guidance on solar. The Cybertruck deliverable, it's contingent upon Austin. So the Austin Gigafactory, and assuming there's no delays, Elon mentioned that they could deliver Cybertrucks by the end of 2021, so we should see those then, but they should see large volumes in 2022. That bodes well because buy the rumor, sell the news. We should hear the rumors of it mid 2021 about the Cybertruck, and that's just going to get people really, really amped up. What I am absolutely hype about, and I want to read to you guys exactly how it went down, but it was a little sneaky play that he had talked about in the earnings report. And let me pull it up. So Pierre Faruga, who's a New Street research analyst, was trying to get a sense of how the outlook for next year is going to be. And so what he said was production capacity at the end of this year is going to be 850,000 units on an annualized basis. So if you take this quarter, multiply it by 4, and you should get around 850,000 units. And he mentioned that we're talking about all this increase in production capacity. We have the increase in capacity for Shanghai, and then them opening Berlin, and then obviously they will open Austin as well in 2021. So his point was, well, what should we expect on the deliveries? And he says between 840,000 and 1 million cars. Will we see that number? Is that a fair estimate? The CFO quickly rebuts that and just kind of puts the kibosh on it and says that he'll give guidance at the end of next quarter. And what Elon Musk says is, well, I mean, it's in the general vicinity. You're not far off. Listen to me. Number one, Elon Musk is not one to turn down a challenge. So my bold prediction is next quarter, when they offer the guidance of deliveries for the next year, they're going to go for that 1 million unit number. And that is right in line with Elon, who he is and what he tries to do. Not only will they announce 1 million units, is my belief, but they will hit that. So unless there's some crazy setbacks, I believe they can hit that number. And if they hit that, if they bring that $1 million number to the table, that bodes incredibly well for the stock. So revenue is great. They're going to hit 500,000 production, it looks like, at the end of this year. All that stuff is great, but we know that it's built into the stock. All these other factors make me incredibly bullish on this stock. And I think we need to look at it, specifically look at the Cybertruck, specifically looked at the unit projections for next year, and look at the insurance. While it may be a little bit further down the pipeline, let's look to hear more about that. One thing they didn't mention that I wanted to hear was the semis, but I'm going to be looking at that for the next quarter. But by all accounts, I'll end it the way Elon started it. And at the beginning of his presentation, he set up the entire presentation by talking about how the performance was for the quarter. And what he says is, let me see right here. What he says is, so Q3 was our best quarter in history. We achieved record production deliveries, record revenue, record net income, both GAAP and non-GAAP, and record free cash flow of $1.4 billion. This company is a monster, people, and it has nowhere to go but up as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to regret that statement because I'm sure at some point it's going to go down, but get excited about it. Next quarter, rewatch this video to remember what you're looking at. But like and subscribe. Check me out on Own the Chaos channel, where I go live every Tuesday and Thursday with my co-host Brad, and Sunday live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I will see you guys soon.